So this is a manifestation workshop. It's a little bit heavy on the head, but we're also going to play a few games, so you're going to enjoy it as well. The manifestation is more from the mental part. This is the first part. So why do we need manifestation? I usually start this workshop and I tell you a small story about a Zen master. And this Zen master has obviously a lot of students, and one time he tells his students, he gives them like this, sort of like, what would you do in this situation? He's telling you, you're going around the town somewhere, and you see this girl walking into a black alley, and two guys are going after her, and you get this intuitive feeling that something bad is going to happen. Do you, out of compassion, go and help her with your, I don't know, Kung Fu master skills? Or do you commit to whatever it is that you said about the Zen way, understanding that this woman has actually invited some sort of karma into her life? It's a lesson that she actually wanted. And by saying that you're committing to the Zen way, you're observing life as perfect and understanding that you don't need to interfere, you don't need to touch that perfect thing. So the students, obviously, out of their commitment to their master, some of them thought about it for a while. Others said, you know, I have to help her. It's a compassion thing. It's a human thing to do. And why would God put me here if not for that? Others said, no, I will commit to the mastery of the Zen way. I will accept everything as perfect as it is, and I will not intervene in this perfection. The master thought for a minute or two, and then he said, you know what the real answer is? The real answer is, this is not going to happen to me. So how come the master knows that it's not going to happen to him? How come the students didn't even think about that? How can the master choose what he wants to manifest into his life? How come he has this control? All of these things are things we're going to talk about. The things we attract into our life, the stories that we tell ourselves, all of these things have to do with manifestation. Manifestation is about everything. It is about the money in your life, it's about the relationships in your life, the circumstances in your life. Everything can have to do with manifestation. Now, when you're elevating the frequency of your body, you are moving closer to what we call the 5D reality. The 5D reality, there's a whole lecture I can give you about that. But in a minute or two, I can just explain to you that it's a reality that we are moving out of the 3D perception. The higher vibration means faster manifestations that are going to occur, more synchronicities that are going to occur. You see the right people in the right time, and it's less about time. Time begins to be minimized. You're thinking less about what used to happen, less about what's going to happen. You're much more present, much more in the now. That's moving to the 5D. Now, it's happening naturally. Ever since the shift of the energies, you know, that has happened a few years ago. And we talked about it a little bit yesterday, how we feel about time, that is shifting, is moving, we're feeling much more present. This is one of the things that is happening. You will see that whatever you project suddenly happens, for the better, for the worse sometimes. So you need to really understand the goals that you're setting by your thoughts, by your intentions, and understand your thinking processes, becoming much more aware of what it is that you were thinking until that moment and how it affected your life, what you asked for. We'll begin with a short video.
Training fleas requires a glass jar with a lid. The fleas are placed inside the jar and the lid is then sealed. They are left undisturbed for 3 days. Then, when the jar is opened, the fleas will not jump out. In fact, the fleas will never jump higher than the level set by the lid. Their behavior is now set for the rest of their lives. And, when these fleas reproduce, their offspring will automatically follow their example.
Did you ever think that you're a flea that is jumping inside a jar and you just don't understand that the lid is right above your head? And they've taught you over a course of all your life, this is the social programming, this is the education, the educational system, this is your parents, this is your sex, this is your country, this is affected by so many different variables. But sometimes you're not aware that you can jump higher, live your full potential, as one might say. Now you know this, but you don't know how to jump higher. And this is why we're learning about manifestation. To become a conscious manifestor, because we are already unconscious manifestors, not controlling every thought we have, every emotion we have, not understanding what it is that we really want eventually. When I ask someone in the street, and a lot of people already know me where I live, and ask them, how happy are you and what makes you happy? A regular person will only answer me the template of what happiness is expected by society. I'm happily married? Probably not. I go to the beach, I read a book, those are the things that make me happy. But then ask him, how much time of your awake time do you do the things that make you happy? It will usually come down to the calculation of about 10%. So I'm working, I'm driving, I'm in traffic jam, I'm taking care of the kids, I'm maybe doing the things that I have to do for my family and for my life, and then I have 10% of the time to be in this high energy of enjoying what it is that I do. Putting aside the few percent that actually enjoy their job. Because most of us enjoy our job, but not to do it so much time. Because if we were multimillionaires, we'll probably do it only a little bit less. Then we will enjoy it much, much more. Second video, our program.
To answer that question, we set up a hidden camera experiment to see if this woman would stand up at the sound of this tone, simply because everyone else is. You might be thinking you'd never go along with this. Or would you? After just 3 beeps, and without knowing why she's doing it, this woman is now conforming perfectly to the group. But what happens if we take the group away?
Elaine, please.
Okay, now she's alone. The crowd is gone and nobody is watching her, except our hidden cameras. What do you think she'll do? She's now conforming to the rules of the group without them even being there. Now, watch what happens when we introduce another outsider who doesn't know the rules.
For a noon appointment.
Have a seat and they'll be out in just a couple minutes.
Great,
Thanks so much.
Everybody was doing it, so I thought I was supposed to.
Think she'll teach the new guy what to do? We kept the cameras rolling as more unsuspecting patients arrived. And slowly but surely, what began as a random rule for this woman has now become the social norm for everyone in this waiting room. Here to explain what's going on in their brains is Jonah Berger of the University of Pennsylvania.
This sort of internalized form of herd behavior is part of what we call social learning. Starting at a very early age, when we see members of our group perform a task, our brains literally reward us for following in their footsteps.
When I saw everybody stand up, I felt like I needed to join them. Otherwise, I'm like excluded. Once I decided to go with it, then I felt much more comfortable.
Conformity is how we become socialized, but it can also cause us to develop bad habits or repeat past wrongs.
And it's why even this rebel, who wasn't standing for any of this nonsense, eventually joined the ranks. And the only thing more shocking than seeing how easily conformity affects the way you act is that similar forces are subconsciously shaping the way you think right now.
So I guess a lot of you think that you would probably not stand up. I guess. The average person thinks he's above average. Think about that sentence for a second. So we think we're above average, obviously. We might be an average person. You would probably stand up just because we want to conform in some way. And we do this all the time. Actually, social network research has shown that people influence each other so much that in the first circle of what I call the normality circle that you have, of your closest friends and your closest family, affects you up to 60% normality. So that's why you have like families of obese people. That's why you have people, or you can say, families of racist people, or your friend will be racist, you must be racist. You probably in 60% likelihood will be racist as well. But think about it this way. So my friend here is affecting me 60% normality. His friend here is also affecting him in the same way. Now, I don't necessarily know his friend, but he is indirectly affecting me by about 15% normality. So I'm being affected all the time by television, by social standards, by my parents, by things I think are normal, until one day when I learn that they're not. Now, if I'm a very powerful individual, I might learn that by myself. Sometimes I need to see other people do it to feel that it's normal. What we're doing here in the 10-day process makes us feel more normal because we are doing it with a lot of crazy other weirdos, together. All those things shape the way we see things, and they also shape the fact that we understand how powerful we can be. I will give you an example. Like I told you, I was doing 5 years of military service. When I was 17, the military found me to be a unique computer programming skill with mathematical abilities, and they threw me into a place that they asked me to sign a contract to do a whole 7 years. During that time, I woke up one morning and I said to myself, oh my God, I'm a pacifist. What the hell am I doing here? Why am I wearing this uniform? Why am I an officer? Why am I moving around with a 4-kilo automatic gun on me all the time? And I just woke up to a reality that said, I don't want to be here anymore. Now, I had no idea how to get out of that because it's a mandatory service in Israel and they're closing all the loopholes. You go to a shrink, you'll have to pretend that you're going to die or commit suicide for 6 months. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do anything, pretty much. I asked to exit, they didn't allow me in any way. What happened is that I used the placebo effect and I asked myself, okay, I can actually create an ailment or create an illness in my body in order for me to get out of this. And what I did is I researched what the hell can I do to get out of here, to stop me from being a computer programmer, and I created something that is called the carpal tunnel syndrome. If you look behind your keyboard, you will see a big-ass warning. Excessive use of this thing will eventually create an illness right here. You can't even see it, it's inside. I told myself, okay, if people can heal themselves, then I can definitely do the reverse thing, right? It's probably easier to break something down than it is to heal it. So what happened is that I wanted to do it, but I had no idea. I knew I was a pretty smart guy. I knew I understand the subconscious, but I didn't know how to affect it in such a level that I will change my belief system about something. So what I did is that I read the book, The Power of the Subconscious. You probably heard about it. I read another book about self-hypnosis. And what I decided to do is 15 minutes before I went to sleep is the time that the beta waves, your active waves, your brain is already active from his day, is moving more towards the delta sleeping meditative state. That is where you're more susceptible to subconscious programming. We call that autosuggestion, affirmations, all these things that we repeat in order for them to drill down to the subconscious level. And what I did is 15 minutes, I just held my hand, I touched it, I imagined that I'm moving energy there, and I told myself, oh my God, this is so painful. This is from the keyboard. This is from excessive use of a computer. I kept on doing that. I didn't feel anything. In the beginning, it was just about the persistence. I did that for a week. I did it for 2 weeks. And on the 3rd week, I felt a small pinch inside my hand. And then, once you feel something, the belief changes completely, right? It becomes from automatic something that you're not truly there into, oh shit, this is working. And why not? Let's continue. And I continued for another something like a month until it became unbearable pain. Until it became that I couldn't use my right hand in any way, okay? I couldn't do anything. And obviously I had to lie to myself. I had to lie to my commanding officers. I had to lie to my mom, To every people that are around me, I just told them, I don't know what happened. It just hurts. I played like completely naive. But the thing is that I had to lie to myself until I believed that this disease is there. So after a while, I couldn't use the keyboard anymore. They sent me to the hospital to make all these different tests. And what they saw there is that I had a crazy inflammation in my right hand. They do this by giving you like a type of material that you will see under a special machine, and they saw like my right hand is like crazy. And then several doctors, until I came to an expert, and the expert eventually told me, Ray, you can't get rid of this thing. This is impossible. You're only 23 years old. We don't know how this actually happened to you. It's something that happens to people that are over 40. And I was like, I don't know. I'm amazed. And he said, look, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but we're going to have to disqualify you, get you out of the service. I said, no, just not that. The service is my life. Anyway, some bureaucracy, some paperwork, some different, positions. They got to get a girl that will do all the coding for me. They got to get me special equipment. Nothing worked, obviously. I went home, I finished my job in the military, and then I was stuck. I have this inflammation in my right hand that is killing me. Really, it hurts like hell. I couldn't even masturbate. Couldn't do anything. Imagine, for so long, I couldn't even opening a doorknob was painful. And then I started remembering, I started understanding, if I created this, I can reverse this, I can heal this. I need this. Obviously, retroactively, I understood why I needed to be such a powerful manifester in order for me to be able to teach it in the future. So I started by understanding that there needs to be a balance between the right side of my mind, which is the spiritual side, and the astral, you can say, side, and the logical side that said, Ray, you're sick. You have an illness. You feel it in your hand. It's powerful. You can't do anything. You can't fix this. You fucked yourself up. All those things, all those mind things, that the devil on my right shoulder was saying to me. So I started with drinking a lot of water, going to different alternative healings, meditating, focusing on the thing that I want, not the thing that I don't want, focusing on the health, okay? Started drinking more. It was before I was a breatharian. I thought all those things are going to help. So yes, for a few months, nothing helped. And then the trigger, understanding. I don't need it anymore. It doesn't serve us. It doesn't give me anything anymore. Slowly went down, down, down. It took me 3 months to create it. It took me almost 6 months to completely make it disappear. And once I did, ever since then, I have not taken one sick day in my life. That has been almost 15 years now. Don't get sick, don't get fever, don't get aches in my tummy or anything like that. Nothing. Why? Because I understood the power of the mind, the belief. Now, when we focus, on a day-to-day basis, what we do is we want to pretend that we are positive people, positive thinkers. But eventually, we're only pretending, because what happens is that we gossip a lot, and we talk dirty about ourselves and about other people, and we focus natively, as an animal, we focus on the fear of what is wrong in my life. I have a problem with my knee. This pain is going to harass me all day. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to show that my body doesn't work very well. But when thinking about the positivity, I don't focus on that too much. So if I put it, on a balance, I would say most people, it doesn't matter if you affirm a few times a day, you're judging, you're doing negative things, you're saying negative things about yourself much, much more than that. That means that this is going to win. That means the energy that you're going to have eventually is not going to work your way. So you had to do a change in your perception. When you become an optimist, life gives you more things to be optimistic about. Okay? When you become a person that is smiling and happy, life gives you more things or reasons to be happy. Now, this is the law of vibration. It's also called the law of magnetism. It's also said in the Spirit, in the Secret, in other books, in other videos that we have talked about that. But what they don't talk about, it's not only the visualization part that is important. What is important is how we feel about it. Is to connect with your future self as it has already happened. The mind is going to try and interfere and tell you that it can't happen that way. That's why you don't need to focus on the path to get there. You need to focus on what it is that you want. That is the target. How am I going to feel when I get there? Don't try to get the universe to tell you how, okay? Don't try to tell the universe and force the universe to get you on how. How is something that spirit will decide for the best in all involved, as one might say. For example, when you are asking for a lot of abundance, don't try to visualize yourself winning the lottery. That is just one way that you are limiting, okay, yourself and the ability of the universe to bring it to you in different paths, different alternative futures, as one might say. Connect with the feeling of being abundant. Maybe it will be from a car accident that you'll sue the insurance company. That's a negative way. Maybe somebody in your family will die. That's also a negative way. So try to visualize it and see that you got it in a positive way. You understand? Don't limit yourself. That is what we do all the time. That's the fleas that are jumping. That's one of the problems that we have. So, why do we need to understand this? To become more self-aware of our thoughts and our emotions, to understand more when we are in the negative. In the negative can be anything. It could be judging ourselves, victimizing ourselves, not assuming responsibility for our own actions. To be more happy, to be it because of a financial situation that we want. It can be to attract a certain relationship or to exit a relationship that we no longer serves us. This is not just a romantic relationship, it can be anything. A friend that is already taking a lot of your energy, a romantic partnership that has ended a long time ago. Sometimes it's even a relative that we just need to take some distance from because it's taking the energy. He doesn't accept us as we are. He's not aware that we have changed. And it's really important to understand that. When is the time to let go, to say, I'm ending this conversation because it does not serve me right now? To understand reality better, because we are working in a multiverse, in our opinion, our beliefs, and our emotions influence that. It's sort of like what we are spreading that like from our heart. The three top chakras are responsible for our thoughts. They're responsible for our connection. The three bottom chakras are more connected with our emotions. We take the emotions and we take our thoughts, we put them together as a belief. And the heart, the middle chakra, the fourth one, the green one, will actually have the biggest field of electromagnetic. We spread that out. It emanates out. People feel it. The universe understands that. That's the vibration we're giving out, and the universe will try to match that vibration with another vibration that is similar. So our beliefs and our thoughts about ourselves, our capabilities, are actually always emanating out. And always we will find and attract the circumstances and the people that are approximately in the same vibration. The real reality. Some of you might know this cut. It's from What the Beep Do We Know? Down the Rabbit Hole.
Are all realities existing simultaneously? Is there a possibility that all potentials exist side by side?
Welcome to Flatland, a world of only 2 dimensions. Only forwards and backwards, left and right. In this world, there is no up and no down.
I said to Ray, where's Dottie? He said, well, she's out in line. I said,
Where's that from? What the bleep is that thing?
In this world, the 2-dimensional beings that live here have no concept of 3-dimensional objects. These 2-dimensional flatlanders have no understanding of cubes, spheres, tetrahedrons, or yours truly. From their 2D perspective, my 3D finger looks something like this.
What the planet is that?
Hello, little circle. Fear of the unknown. Or should I say, not yet known. It's a puzzle. If we see only what we know, how does anyone ever see anything new? The unknown. How do we ever get out of our box? Hello, little circle. Don't be afraid.
Who said that? Where are you?
This is always the tricky part to explain. I'm in another dimension, another space. I am above you.
No, never use that word.
What word?
The A word.
Above?
It's forbidden.
Well, what do you think it means?
I don't know, and I don't want to know. You can be severely punished if you use that word. Are you a ghost?
I hope not. I just have a different perspective than you do. I can see things in a way you can't yet.
Oh, yeah? Like what?
Well, okay, you have a safe hidden in your pantry. And inside it, you have 12 coins, a will, and a passport.
How did you know that? What are you? Are you a god?
Well, no more than you. You see, since I am above you, in the third dimension, I can see inside things in your world.
Third dimension? You are a crazy ghost. There's only two. Look.
So, if I were to touch the inside of your stomach, how would I do that?
Well, you'd have to cut through my skin. Otherwise, it's impossible. Stop! Stop!
Ready for more?
More what?
Dimensions.
Oh.
Directions.
No. Yes, but there aren't any. More? What will happen to me? What will I become?
You'd have to become it to know.
Okay.
Excellent.
I never knew.
Isn't it funny? That which we are most afraid of is what thrills us the most.
Cool, no? Yes. Why did we see this? To show you how we would react to something that we are not aware exists above us. So there's a multi-universe, right? And our consciousness constantly shifts between realities. And it depends on the way we feel about certain things. You know, it's much easier. You see that person, everything works out for him. You see that basketball player that he thinks he's on a roll. Because he believes he's on a roll, he is on a roll. And when he thinks he's a failure, as a team sometimes, and as an individual in other times, sometimes it's even as a civilization. We all have certain goals that we wish to reach individually as a soul before we were incarnated. We sat with our guides, we sat with our higher self, and we decided what our parents going to be like, what type of body we're going to have, what type of talents, how we're going to develop. Other people helped us, how we're going to coordinate things with the rest of our family. That's the person. And then there's the team, the two together, you know, your soulmate. They also have their type of goals. And then again, your soul group, you always wonder, what is all this synchronicity? This guy knows that guy that lives in another country but is related to me in some way. It seems like the world is really, really small and somehow we're all interconnected. That's your family. That's your light family. Again, there's goals in the level of that type of family. And there's goals of the whole religion or the civilization. I can tell you, I come from the Israelis that have their own unique set of goals. Christians have a different one, and the planet has a different one. We're talking now of our control over our personal goals. If you guys are here with your partners, that's also really excellent. We're going to have an exercise that will help you sync everything to understand more about what you really want eventually. So just think about your goals. What do you really want? We'll get back to that. The self. Over here in this little dot, this red thing, that's the matter. That's the physical body. Okay? Everybody, you're going to get this whole presentation in the mail, just not with the videos because it's too big. So everything you're going to have, but if you want to write because it helps you remember, go ahead and do that. Matter. Above that, we have the passion and the feelings. Above that, we have the higher and the lower mind, the imagination, okay? The intuition, which are both very, very similar to one another. The will. Above that, we have the connection to the higher self and the universal self. Think about it this way. Between us, the person, and the universal self that has all the control and all the understanding, that is connected to all the other higher selves. You know, when we're very connected to someone, some of us are very connected to our mother, to a friend, we feel a second before they're going to call. We feel that something's wrong the moment we see them. We feel all these things intuitively. Now, the will and the intuition is something that we talked about yesterday. That is the intention. The intention on doing something is much more powerful than just wanting to do it. The intention is that first action, that I know I'm going to do that. The motivation part. The imagination is the reason why we're using guided visualizations in our meditations. This visualization is what controls what the matter, the physical, wants with a higher self. Give it commands. Ever wonder why, as kids, when you wanted to touch yourself or pleasure yourself, you had to use your imagination in order to do that? You couldn't just activate your sexual organs in any way. You had to use something, the visualization. Same thing, I can tell you that your mind, your imagination is limited. Try to imagine a color that doesn't exist. And you get stuck here. And shit, I thought my imagination was limitless. No, it's inside a box. And outside of the box is the video that we saw. That is the higher self. That is the universal self. Observing us, thinking we are them. But we need to understand, we are that one little thread in the end of their limitless existence. And when we humbly understand that, then we know that we just need to ask and let go and understand that we are not in control. But when we are walking on our path, everything seems to be just working out for us. When we're walking on our path is the path of least resistance. When we are resisting reality, anything, from the easiest examples of I'm not taking my rain jacket when I leave my house, even if it's raining outside, and I'm going to regret that, I'm going to argue with myself, to the fact that we are keeping and holding on to relationships that no longer serve us, holding on to a job that we don't stop working there because of the fears of the things that we are telling ourselves the story. All of these are paths of resistance. And we're resisting reality all the time, in smaller things, in bigger things. Sometimes in our spiritual practice, eventually we come to an understanding that we need to let this person go and suddenly something opens up. We need to let that job go and suddenly another job offer much better is going to open up. But we need to be brave in order to do that. We can't do that just one day. And this is why a higher vibration will eventually force us to do that. So again, the imagination is a skill that we can use in a meditative state or not. Visualize it. And the will and the intuition. The will is very important. The intention of doing something is more powerful than anything else. It is the first step of actually coming or bringing it into existence. Anybody know of Bashar? Raise a hand. If not, you're in for a treat. Yes. This is about 8 minutes. It's one of his best parts. He no longer has anything online. He took off his YouTube channel. He's like doing only people that pay for it today. So I have about 20 giga of his stuff that I collected like 10 years ago. He's one of my teachers for a very, very long time. He has 13 different channelers around the world. If you don't know what a channel is, a full trance channel, unlike a lot of people who just channel intuitively, is a person that allows an entity, an alien, another person even, to go into his body, use his mind and his words and his skills, and that person, that individual, steps aside for that time being. It is a gift that some people are born with, sometimes they cultivate it. They say that a lot of people can reach that, but you really have to practice, because to go into a full trance, it means that you have to let go of your mind, of your emotions, and of your body. Some people do that naturally, and some people really have to train for that. So keep an open mind. Don't listen to anything that you don't want to listen to. Listen and see if it echoes in your intuition, his words. A lot of it will make sense.
It takes an understanding that physical reality is really just a mirror, and it can only reflect what you put out. There are really only 4 laws in creation that allow you to experience everything that you experience. Law number 1 is that you exist. Can't do much about that. Now, when we talk, first of all, about laws, we're not talking about the type of laws that you have on your planet, that are, in that sense, arbitrary rules and regulations that can be broken, or changed, or rewritten, or ignored. But the idea is even beyond what many of you call laws of physics, because even some of these are only germane to your particular universal reality, and in other dimensions, many of the so-called laws that you have labeled do not really apply. We are talking about real laws, because real laws cannot be broken. Cannot be broken. It is impossible. And it is these 4 laws that give structure to all of creation. So, as we have said, law number 1, you exist. And what that actually means, when taken out to its ultimate logical understanding, is that if you exist now, you always will. And you always have. Therefore, you may change form, but you will always exist in some way, shape, or form. Because isness is the only quality that existence has. It does not know how to become non-existence. Non-existence is already full of all the things that will never exist, and there is no room in non-existence for that which does exist. That which exists only has one quality, to be, and thus that is the only thing it will always be. So if you do exist, you always will. So relax. Law number 2. The one is the all, and the all are the one. And this simply means that all of the pieces together form the one. And the one is the one, but knows itself simultaneously as all the pieces. What this means is that creation is not separate from the Creator, but is made of the Creator, and that there is no outside to it. Everything that is, every discrete person, place, thing, every discrete concept, every discrete part is a part of one same whole, and also, holographically, every single part is the whole, expressing itself as a part of the whole. So the second law, the one is all, the all are one. Law 3, what you put out is what you get back. Very simple. The energy you give off, based on your beliefs, your emotions, your behaviors, the vibrational frequency you give off is what determines the kind of reality experience you have. Because physical reality doesn't exist except as a reflection of what you strongly believe is true for you. That is all physical reality is. It is literally like a mirror. If you are looking in a mirror and you see your face with a frown on it, you know that you don't go over to the mirror and try to force the reflection to smile. You know that if you want to see the reflection smile, you must smile first. There is no way to change the reflection without you smiling first. But you can also conversely understand that when you decide to smile, the reflection has no choice but to return the smile, because it doesn't have a mind of its own. So the idea to understand is that physical reality very much is really like a mirror. It will not change until you do first. But if you do, it has no choice but to follow suit, because it is only a reflection of what you have put out. Law number 4. Change is the only constant, and everything changes except the first 3 laws. That is it. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. Every experience you have ever had, are having now, or will ever have, is based on a combination of these 4 laws to varying degrees. That's it. Now, the idea to understand, again, is that when you allow yourself to make choices, then your choices are based on your motivation. And your motivation is based on your definitions. This is the other way to explain the 3-part process. Your behavior, your choices, are based on your motivations, your emotions, which stem from your definitions, which are your beliefs. So anytime you are making a choice, it is always because you have been motivated to make that choice. Motivation only has 2 parts to it. This is all there is to motivation. You will always, in every single case, you will always choose what you perceive to be the choice that is closest to pleasure and furthest from pain. That's it. That is your entire motivational force. But notice I said you will choose what you perceive to be closest to pleasure and furthest from pain. And that's where definitions come in. Because only as you define what you believe to be pleasurable or painful will you then be motivated to make choices in accordance to that belief. So many times you may choose things that on one level you could say seem to be detrimental or destructive to you, but if you keep choosing it, that simply means that you must have a definition in your belief system somewhere that says that regardless of how painful it is to keep choosing that, you are somehow defining it as being less painful than making any other choice. That's why it is so powerful to get in touch with what your belief systems are, because when you find out why you may be defining something as pleasurable or painful, and you change the definition, you will instantly change your motivation, and you will instantly change the choices that you make, because you're all motivated people. None of you lack motivation. None of you lack trust. It's just a matter of where you are placing your trust, and what definition you are motivated to act upon. That's all there is to it. This is how you simplify the things in your life, by understanding them from the base on up. From definition through motivation through choice. From belief through emotion through behavior. That's all there is to it, really. The final thing that we will be including in this toolkit is the idea that we have begun to talk about now recently that is above and beyond the idea of belief, and that is simple knowingness, which comes from the idea of surrender, letting go. Now, again, we understand that in many of the definitions many of you have on your planet regarding this word surrender, many of you will label this as a loss of some sort, or a lack of control of some sort, and this is not the case. Surrender, if we may provide our definition, is the letting go of the concept of who you think you're supposed to be, and actually being who you are. Because who you are is unlimited possibilities. And when you allow yourself to surrender to the idea and the experience that you were created in the image of the infinite, which means you are infinite possibilities too, then the physical reality, which is only a mirror, can then reflect those unlimited possibilities back to you in the synchronicities as they naturally unfold in your physical day-to-day life. So surrender is actually acceptance of your total self, not, in that sense, the forsaking of your total self, as many of you have been led to believe through the definitions that your world has provided you with that only serve to limit you. And this is what we want to share with you, and what we suggest you learn to give up, are those limitations. So that is really what we are going to be discussing in all of these interactions. Are variations of those principles. It will usually all come down to that idea. And of course, it will usually also come down to one other principle that is all wrapped up in this, and that has to do with being your natural true self, which in many cases is simply another way of saying, follow your joy, follow your excitement to the best of your ability, because the sensation that you call joy, the sensation that you call excitement, the sensation that you call unconditional love is the frequency of energy that represents your natural, true, core, original self. So when you are acting on circumstances and opportunities that bring with them the highest level of this joy, the highest level of excitement, you are saying you have the faith to take the steps to act upon your true self, and in so doing, your physical reality, the mirror, will support you because it has no choice but to do so. These are the principles that comprise the toolkit of manifestation and change, and that's really all there is to it.
That's all there is to it, basically. Yeah, everything is simple, but we overcomplicate them in the beginning. So, we'll repeat a little bit about what he said, just to clarify it. First thing is the 4 laws. The first one, we exist, we just change energy. We're already familiar with that. The second one, all is one and one is all. Now this actually means, he gave me a very nice description for it. He said, if reality was a huge mirror, and that mirror was one time broken into a gazillion small pieces, small mirrors, each one of those mirrors can actually reflect all the other parts of the whole. Meaning we always see things that we should see. We see in our partner something and we judge him for that, and there's one finger pointing at him, but there's 3 fingers pointing back at us. Because we understand that. We understand that he is teaching us something. Our children are teaching us something. Society is teaching me something. There's an infinite versions of the planet Earth, and we are each in one where our glasses are pointing us to the one that is more in harmony with our belief systems, for the better and for the good, obviously. Another example for this is, for example, a tree. A seed of a tree has all the information of how to create that tree. Every cell in our body has a DNA in its core of how to create the whole human being from scratch. So one cell of the liver will have information about the size of my heart, the size of my brain. It will have information sometimes even about the scars that I have in my skin. That means one is all and all is one. Now we understand this hypothetically, and we're beginning to understand it on a conscious level, the unity. Seeing other people and understanding that they are us. A different perspective, but exactly the same. The third law, what we call the law of karma, which is pretty much almost gone. This means, for the example he gave with the mirror, is an amazing example. If you look at the mirror and you see yourself not smiling, don't expect the mirror to smile back at you. If you're pissed off, if you're always judging, if you're always afraid, if you're always thinking, just before wintertime, I'm gonna get sick, because that's what happens to me before wintertime, I get a cold. Then you're gonna get a cold. And if you think that it's gonna only happen one time, it's only going to happen one time. You understand? That's the way we build it. That's why in the beginning of the process, I always tell you, is it going to be easy for you? Or is it going to be hard for you? What is your expectation? What are you afraid of? All of that is going to come to pass, because that is your belief. And then somebody like me comes up and tells you no, and then the belief changes. Sometimes I ask a person from the crowd, I usually give lectures of about 100, 150 people, ask one of them, do you smoke? And I find a smoker and say, do you think that you can stop smoking? In the beginning, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. You know, most smokers have stopped for a while, so he has this belief that he can if he wants. And he says, you know, I can. Say, how long will it take you to stop smoking? He usually say 2 months, 3 months. I say, okay, what do you think can enhance that or make it faster so you'll quit in a week? He says, I don't know. I said, do you think you can quit in a week? And then he thinks for a second, and the belief changes, and he says, yeah, I can quit in a week probably if I work on it. You know, a lot of NLP masters are on stage, and people stand up, people who want to commit suicide, all these kind of things, and they do 1 minute of work with them, just showing them there's another way, another option. And when we see that there's another way and another option, we start believing it exists. The subconscious begins to create a certain futuristic path of getting us there, understanding that it is feasible in some way. That is the law of karma, okay? And the last one, I like that one, change. Everything changes except for the first 3 laws. Everything is a permutation of that. Before that, let us exercise. This is going to be an awesome exercise. You're going to love it. In the beginning, you might not understand why we're doing it, but it will be clarified later. So, we're going to split into partners. If you came here with a partner, do it with your partner. That's the best thing, or the best way you can do that. But if it's a friend, then do it with somebody else. I'm talking to the 3 came here together. Now, I'm going to repeat it. What you're going to do, everyone is going to get 7 or 8 minutes to share. He's going to share the best, absolute best year of his life as it started happening from tomorrow. So he's actually telling it from a year in the future, and he's going to talk about the last year that just happened. And he's going to describe the absolutely best year. What does it mean? Anything that you wanted to happen in this year has happened. Your whole life before that is nothing compared to this year, okay? If you wanted to win the lottery, you won the lottery. If you wanted to go abroad to Hawaii, to Costa Rica, to islands, you wanted to travel the world, you did that. You wanted to marry a knight on a shiny white horse, you got that. Don't go to places that your subconscious can't go to. You did not become a gold-laying goose. Okay, or sorry, an egg-laying goose or gold egg-laying goose. You did not become Superman. You did not become things that your subconscious cannot really comprehend and understand, because then you'll have a resistance. Now, I don't want you to say, oh, I finished my degree. That's not enough for me. I want more. I want you to unlimit the limitations that you have built over the years. You have an infinite amount of money in the bank. That is not a problem. Do you choose to stay at work? How much do you work? What do you do in the weekends? How does your day look like? And the person that is listening, the partner, I want you to add spice. I want you to add colors. I want you to ask questions that will give it more vividness, more life look. I want you to don't imagine, I want you to remember this year. Connect with your heart. How did it feel when you fell in love with that guy? How did it feel when you sat on a brunch with, with Bill Cosby? How did it feel, all these things that you wanted to do, met with presidents, whatever. Everything happened. People are flying to the moon? Maybe you flew to the moon as well. Did you discover other planets? Maybe you did. I don't know. It's your imagination, it's your year, it's your memory. Now, I want you to completely forget and be a child. A child doesn't know its limitations. You have all the money you want in the bank, that doesn't limit you. You have whatever friends, whatever family you want, don't let that limit you. Do you understand what I'm asking you to do? Is it clear? Do you have any questions? You're going to have an amazing year. I promise you already. Unlimit yourself. We're afraid of past relationship that has hurt us, so we don't want to start. We cannot trust that person or a new person that will come into our lives. So when we break those walls and we say what we really want, we discover what it is that we really want. Some people wanted to learn how to play guitar. Some people wanted to just travel. 90% of the things that were discussed have nothing to do with money. They have nothing to do with the time. So now you know a little bit more what you really want. Without the limiting beliefs, without the schedule, without the job, without the children, without the family, all of these things can be put aside for a second and see what it is that I want. And if you had a partner with you, is our paths integrated? What do I really want? What can we do together? What do I want by myself? What do I want for myself? Business-wise, personal, spiritual, all these things. So it makes it more clear now. You understand it now. And the feeling you have is a feeling of fulfillment, because you got to talk about your dreams and you got to experience them, because the visualization and the imagination and reality are not so far from each other, right? They took a group of athletes. I think it was a basketball team. And they wanted to see how powerful their imagination can be on their performance. So they took a group and they told them, okay, you're only going to visualize your success. More balls in the basket, better, teamwork, stuff like that. They took another team and practiced like normal, and they took a third team that they also practiced and visualized together. The results were, obviously, that the team that practiced and visualized together was the best. After that, the team that only visualized, and after that, there was the team that didn't actually do anything at all, or didn't practice or anything at all. They showed that the visualization helps. By thinking that we can stretch further, we're actually stretching further. That's an amazing experience to have by ourselves. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is money. Sometimes, we think that spiritual people don't think about money too much, but it's more that we have a few very bad limiting beliefs about money. There's nothing wrong with having money. Limiting belief number one, less is more. Less is more, it means that I will choose to go to, I don't know, I will choose to go to Bolivia or to India than to travel to Europe or an expensive vacation. I will always say, you know something, I don't need much to be happy. And maybe it's true, maybe you don't need much to be happy. But the frequency, the vibration that you're emanating to the universe is bring me little. Don't bring me a lot. I don't need a lot. Now don't think about yourself. Think about your friends, think about the family. I prefer that the money of the world will be held in your hands and not in the hands of the people that currently have the money of the world. You will donate much more. By the way, I just gave Sharon $1,200 to donate to a cause that I was very influenced by Tommy Robbins a few months ago, to a cause that saves girls that are being kidnapped in third world countries. And I told every one of you on the landing page that I will donate 5% of the income of every process that I have from now until I choose another cause to donate to. That's an energy that flows, okay? So when we are limiting ourselves by saying less is more, we're actually telling the universe, don't bring me much, I don't need much. Think about how you do that in your life. Think about the type of car that you want, the type of car that is enough for you. When you're saying less is more, you're actually saying, you know something? Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I don't deserve it. That's another limiting belief that you might have. How about more is more? How about when I have more, I'll buy my wife or my boyfriend or my girlfriend, or I'll put my kids into a better college, or I'll give more to society. When I want to give more, then the universe will give me more, because that means that that's a thought that comes from unconditional love. When we pray to someone in the hospital, it gets a lot of energy because we are giving unconditional love. We're not doing something that is egocentric. Another limiting belief that we have about money is that money is the source of all evil. We look at all these people, these rich people. You know, when I was young, I was hitchhiking quite a lot, and I realized that the more the car is expensive, the less the chances are that they'll stop. The more shitty the car is, the chance is really high that it's going to stop, you know? And then there's no air condition, and the guy's like a hippie with a big beard, and how are you doing today? And come on, I'll give you a ride all the way home. But the more expensive it is, and that's the truth, they're not going to stop. They don't care that much. And it's true. But it doesn't mean that we need to be that way. It doesn't mean that money is dirty. Yes, some people are manipulative, some companies, the world right now revolves around that thing. But money in the right hand, your hands, doesn't mean you're going to change. You have an unconscious, some of you have an unconscious fear of what will happen when I have much more abundance. How will my friends be? Will I change? Will my life change? It's like we're a dog chasing a car, and we don't really know what's going to happen when we reach that car. Have you ever seen a dog reach the car? I saw it. They stop, and they don't know what to do. They're like, then the car stopped, there was a light, and he's like, oh man. Same thing with a cat. Cat and a dog also, it's like that.
I saw a dog reach a car, and he bites the tire, and his head did something like that. And after that, the dog would...
So they don't know what to do. And sometimes we're like that too. So think about it. Do you have a limiting belief that says, I don't deserve more money in my life? Or do you have a limiting belief when I say money, you sometimes, you squeeze. You go like this. Instead of going contract, you contract. Instead of going, I say money, and you think about trouble that you have in your life. You think about not having abundance. You think about a job that you didn't have. You think about a business that you lost a lot of money in. Do you have that associated with money? Because if you do, you need to work on that energy. Money needs to flow. I'll give you an example from my own life. First thing about, I would say 3-4 years ago, the pranic living lifestyle has taught me about all these vibration and our understanding and the manifestation abilities. So obviously, when I started living this life, I either quit my job or I reduced significantly, and other channels of you can say, income have opened immediately. Ever since then, I think I have maybe tripled or maybe quadrupled my salary, my annual salary, however you want to call it. But one of the things that did it the best is actually a woman. I have a lot of women stories. I feel so embarrassed. Anyway, about 2 years ago, I was in Ecuador. We were shooting a television show, a reality show. I told you guys about it. It was called the Amazonas. In the Amazonas, we were groups contesting with one another. I wanted to come in order for me to deliver my message. I don't need to eat. I'm very energetic. So I just had like a small juice in the morning, and everybody was talking about it, and that's what I wanted, and all that stuff in front of the camera, the participants. And it was like a prime time reality show, better than Survivor. That was how big it was in Israel in that time. And I started dating a girl after that. My ego was very, very big. I was very known. Everybody was stopping me in the streets. Hold my kid. Here's a selfie, blah, blah, blah. My ego really expanded, and I started dating this girl from the show that I met there, because she was incredibly famous, because she was incredibly good looking, for all the bad reasons, obviously. But I thought, this is the new me. And I dated her for a while. During that time, one of the things that happened is that I noticed that we are very different in the fact that she wants to hang out with all these celebrities. She wants to talk about money a lot. She wants to go out to restaurants a lot. And obviously, I'm vegetarian, so I don't go much out to restaurants. She wanted to spoil me, but always in a she wanted me to spoil her, but always in a materialistic way. The way that she knew how love goes is that if I buy her something expensive, if I pay for everything. Now, in addition to that, she was Russian. Sorry. I don't know how many Russian girls you know. But Russians have a tendency of the women have the position of the woman in their relationship, and the men have the position of the man in their relationship. Okay, it's very defined. So one time I was checking my boundaries with her, because she kind of like, I'm spiritual. I know that money is energy. I know in a relationship, for example, a guy can pay for the dinner and the woman can pay for the tip. Or we go somewhere abroad, then somebody puts, each one puts some sort of energy together. It can't be just one. So for her, it was just one. So one time I checked my boundaries with her. I'm calling her up. I said, baby, I got us a bungalow for the weekend. I rented us a car. It was I told her it's going to cost about $1,000. Now we're both really well with money. That's not a problem. So I asked her, so how much do you think you're going to put? And she said, Ray, we need to have a talk. So I was like, shit. And then the talk, the man is supposed to pay for everything, abroad, and not abroad, And I said, okay, fine. I'm going to live with this. Okay, I love that woman. I want her to be my, I really thought that I'm serious about her. I want her to be my wife one day. I want us to get along. And the way that she knows to love is to give her abundance of money, gifts, presents, going abroad, all these things, everything on me. So I said, okay, I know that the solution to everything is love, more love. And if she wants that type of love, then that's what I'm going to do. Now, what happened when I changed my mind, or I started spending more, is that I started spending much more than I'm used to, a lot more. And I'm not a cheap guy, but I'm conservative. I don't need to spend a lot in order to have a good time, so I don't. I will probably save up for a house or something like that. So when I started spending a lot on her, it was like $1,000 a month on her. Gifts, going out, doing certain things that I would never do before, going out with people that not the same frequency as me, and started even behaving differently. Suddenly, when the money started moving out, new income venues started opening in order to complete that. So what I'm saying, that money that is stuck in the bank, money that is not flowing, money that you're afraid to spend and take out, will not introduce new money into your system. If you're not willing to spend, it means that you think you have a belief that you don't have enough. That belief creates a vibration, a feeling that is usually connected with that, which is a fear of not having enough money, or a fear of not finishing the month. And that fear contracts, and that creates a stop, a blockage. So that's the third limiting beliefs about money. So you need to spend a little bit more. You need to open your mind. One of my mentors told me, you know something, Ray? Never go around in your wallet with change. I said, what? Yeah. You need to open your wallet and only see, $100 bills, lots of them. See it, And I said, but what do you do with all your change? He said, I always give it, always donate it. I leave it in the place. I do, everything like that. And I said, but that can accumulate to quite a lot. And then he says, that's your limiting belief. Yes, it can, but you're limiting yourself. It doesn't mean that I don't have change. I don't know where you guys throw all the cents. How much they give so much cents, and where do you put it? So just everywhere I see like a donation, then the cents, the quarters, everything like that, I try to put it there. So think about it. So we said 3 limiting beliefs about money. Who wants to tell me one of them? One. Less is more. That's the first one. Another one? Huh? What more?
Not enough to go.
Not enough to go. That's a limiting belief. The last one. Money that is standing is money that is blocked. Money needs to flow. Money is like energy. Energy flows where attention goes. When I am thinking about my money as it flows, it will begin flowing. More income sources will come. And I guarantee that this will happen. Once you start losing that perception you have about life and about money, you'll start gaining much more. You see, it's an intention and a belief. Now, maybe you don't want to admit it, but maybe you have a belief that you don't deserve a lot of money. Maybe you think in some way that money is dirty, and it's okay. Being aware of these beliefs is half of the solution. Because then you start working on the affirmation, the autosuggestion, the positive. I deserve more. More is more. I can do much more. I can donate more. I can change the world. I can give, do a lot of positive things with that. So who here feels that he needs to work a little bit about his perception with money? Good. Who here believes that more is more and he deserves all the world right now? Good, good. Really good. We're getting there. So, the future me exercise was fun. The present moment. You see, we talk a lot about the present moment, Edgar Tolle stuff. The only real moment, the global changes that we talked about yesterday, that we're becoming more and more aware of what happens right now. It means that our consciousness is expanding right now. It means that for the better and for the good. It means that if you're watching a boring movie that is an hour and a half, it will feel like it's 2 or 3 hours. If you're working a bad job, it will feel like hell for you. And you understand that already. But the things that you do that are enjoyable, time flies just like that. It's going to get worse because now they're forcing you to make the changes. You kind of like have to, it's like somebody's grabbing you by your shoulders and shaking you and telling you, wake up. It's time for you to wake up. Anything in your life, disease, circumstances, bad things that happen to you is a signal. Something that is telling you what you need to do and what you need to learn. If you're not going to learn it, again, it's a game, it's a level in a game. Until you beat that master, until you beat that character that ends that level, you will not progress to the next one. But the news is that if you do beat that level, if you become conscious of what it is that you need to fix and you do it, you only need to do it one time to go to the next level, and the universe will never again show you the lower levels. You are progressing, and the only way is going up. Life extension, view the present moment. So what happens is that our life, we can actually live more life because we experience much more if we are in the present moment. So for me, I sometimes compare myself to Batman. I say I have the Ray, programmer, IT guy, computer geek, if you want to call it, and you have this this like educator, this like mentor, this like guy that wants to change the world, that travels everywhere. I feel like I'm doing two things all the time. That's why I don't sleep much. That's why I get a lot more done. I'm 36 years old. I feel like I'm talking like a 50-year-old, or I have enough knowledge that I've gained. That means that life extension. You will have more time to practice whatever it is that you really want to practice. And if until now you had only 10% of your time to do the things that you enjoy, remember the future me exercise? Those are the things you really want. Put more of those into your day-to-day life. See where the points of resistance come up. If you want to exercise and you signed up to the gym, every year, you do exactly the same thing. You sign up to the gym, you're highly motivated, you work out for 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then your motivation kind of goes down a little bit. And then you look at all these awesome looking people, young people that are much more fit than you, and you say to yourself, oh my God, it's going to be so hard to get there. It means you're not enjoying that type of physical activity. Find the one you are. Find the one you are. You can enjoy jogging, you can enjoy water sports. You haven't tried all these things, but understand, if you're repeating the same action all the time, it's the same loop, It's like solving a riddle. Somebody tells us the riddle, and we kind of like always think about the same solution, and then we say, no, we already answered that, and then we go again, no, we already thought about that, we already answered that. It doesn't work. We have to think outside of the box. Think about what are the points of your resistance. When in the domino, that you have all these bricks, think about what is that. Sometimes, in order for us to create a new habit in our life, The best thing is if we had 3 steps to get there. I will give you an example. I had one of my participants or one of my students in a completely different world, not the pranic living world. We were talking about the manifestation abilities of the human being. He told me, Ray, you know something? I really want to work out like I worked out 20 years ago. This guy was like 50. He said, I enjoy jogging a lot. But today, every time I wake up, and I want to go jogging in the morning before I wake up because I understand that the morning is the best time for any type of commitment. I said, but the blanket is so nice. And I press the alarm clock, I say it's 6 o'clock, I should actually wake up at 7, so I say, fuck it. Every day I do the same thing. I say, fuck it. And I press the alarm clock. I snooze until 7, and then I regret it, and I feel bad about it all day long. So I told him, okay, let's think about this. And I asked him what are the steps that he does before he goes out to a jog, and we went over it. And one of the steps is actually wearing, the sport clothes. So I told him this genius idea that I had back in the day. I told him, before you go to sleep, I want you to put the clothes that you would have put on if you would have gone jogging. Put the shorts, put the shirt, the sleeveless shirt, maybe put the water that you're taking with you, the small bag, put the sports shoes, put the socks that you're going to put on before you go to sleep. He woke up in the morning, he saw he was fully dressed, he put on his sports shoes, and he went on jogging. That's how easy it can be when we are aware, when we see that we can minimize the amount of steps between us and the resistance. You understand? So see what are your points of resistance and how you can just take a few of them out. Take the steps from the middle. Make it shorter for yourself. Make it easier for yourself. So funny. I'm thinking about my wife. Every time that she cooks something, she leaves the whole kitchen messy because she has this thing that she likes to clean. It's a subconscious belief, that she enjoys that. But she doesn't understand that she's creating a big mess in order for her to clean everything. So I'm trying to teach her that while you're cooking, there's 30 seconds here, 40 seconds here. You can take the dishes out of the washer. You can do this, you can clean that. And I'm getting her to minimize everything, but I don't realize that she enjoys the cleaning. She's creating that mess. So she has an inner resistance to doing that, right? There's certain things that we need to become aware of. Just like Bashar said, there's things that we believe serve us in some way. There is a limiting belief that we have that we need to work on. Otherwise, the universe would not create that scenario for us to learn from. It simply would not. It wouldn't exist. The consciousness and the soul, the mind, that's where the ego escaped to. The present moment is always one present moment. Now the beautiful thing is that you can actually change the past by thinking, visualizing, forgiving. You're doing all these things, and because time doesn't really exist, you're actually changing the present. For another example that we can use with time manipulation, and this is, I'll give you 2 examples of time manipulation that have to do with, one of them is time manipulation, that have to do with suffering, that have to do with the negative attitude that we have, a negative emotion that we have. For example, I don't know, we just had your heart broken. One example is used in NLP is that you try to describe yourself and how you feel. You say, I'm heartbroken, I'm devastated, I don't see any other fish in the sea, I don't know how I'm going to go on with my life. If it's I don't know if it's a divorce, bitch took half my money. I'm just joking, but you do. I'm just joking, really. Look. And then you go out of yourself, you become the observer of how he feels, how does Ray feel. So, and you describe that. So again, the first person describes how he feels. Second one describes how the first person feels. And then you say, you know something, I feel bad for the guy, I went through a breakup in my life. I want to hug him, he's like my brother for me. And then again you describe the person describing. And you say, the person describing how he feels, I don't know, he looks like he feels sorry for the other guy over there. I don't really know the other guy over there. I kind of feel sorry for him because, but I feel better the more I take distance. And then again, I describe this person. This person is so far away from that person. He's just describing the description, okay? And he's emotionally almost detached from this experience. So what happens here is that you're using our logical mind in order to somehow refrain or somehow take some distance from the emotion. Now, I'm not telling you not to face your emotion. This is just one of many, many different tips and tricks you can use momentarily to deal with that negative emotion. Another thing, for example, that we can use is I call it the 1 month in the future. How would you feel 1 month in the future after this terrible thing has happened to you? You will probably not feel as bad about it as you do right now. Now connect with your future self. Your future self and you have to have a relationship. For example, tonight I will wash the dishes, so my future self tomorrow morning will say, oh my God, that was so awesome. Today I will work out, I will keep a steady meditation because my future self in 10 years will be grateful for the fact that I created this type of programming and habits in my life. So there is a relationship. Today I say thank you to my past self for the habits, the people that he has brought into my life, for the habits that I have ever since I was a child, all those positive things that I did in order to reach that stage. So the same thing is when we think about the future self of us a month from now. Something bad happened, you feel bad about it, you accidentally ran over a kitty with your car. And in that moment you feel bad about it. You say, shit, that little creature just ran into the street. Even though it's not my fault, I feel really, really bad about it. How would you feel a month from now about it? How much regret are you going to have? Connect with that. Somebody broke your heart right now. You feel very, very sad. How will you feel a month from now? A little bit better. You have a connection with your future self and with your past self. All you have to do is try to visualize him, okay? Visualize him. Sometimes you can give him a hug. Feel the energy as it moves in between the two of you together. And feel that you're being more and more exactly like him. You're getting his energy. And you will feel slightly better because something has changed. You have changed. You have connected with that. Sometimes we call that connection with our future self our intuition. Some of you did like me, when you heard about breatharianism, pranic living, you heard about a crazy, unique workshop, your intuition, your future self, told you, come my way. There's something for you to learn here. You are guided in that way. There's nothing we can do about it. But that is also a connection because the higher self is aware of what's about to happen. He knows the different statistics. He knows your resistances to them. The more you're connected with him, the more you will follow your intuition, the easier your life will be. You will follow the path of least resistance because you will stop listening from the mind and you will start listening from the heart and from the tummy. I will give you an example about the path of least resistance. Sometimes, we started talking about the higher vibration where we're moving from the 3D to the 5D. What happens is that, one of the things that happen is that you lose a part of what it was called the free will. Now don't worry about it, it sounds like a loss, but it's not a loss. You think less, you're guided more. And I can already tell you, most people that reach a certain degree have a very strong pull towards serving humanity. Service to others, we call it. Service to others can be guides, can be mentors, can be people who put YouTube channels. It could be a mother that just loves her children a lot. You can serve humanity in many, many different ways. But it becomes a pull so strong that when you resist it, different things in your life stop occurring in the synchronicity, or as they should occur. For example, when I finished my initiation, and I told you I wrote a website, and I started writing a book, but I was not a people's person. A person that chooses to sit in front of a computer all his life is usually not a people's person. You see all these geeks, they have really serious communication issues, okay? And it's true, a lot of the smarter you are, usually you have social issues. And they don't only look like that, it's serious issues. I saw a lot of geniuses in the military, so I can tell you that. And what happened is that I was pulled, ayahuasca told me a few times, every time I meditated, I was guided to, stand in front of a crowd, explain the things I understood, I've collected, the kind of told me, you should share, you should teach, you have a skill that you haven't used yet, and stuff like that. And I was like, forget about it, I want to be a computer guy, I understand computers from the bottom to the top, everything. Human beings are crazy. Everyone is special, everyone has his dramas, his history, everyone is a complete universe. It's hard for me to understand the psychology of a human being. So I was resisting, that was my excuse, that was the story I was telling myself. Shit didn't go my way. Really, started everything, relationships and money issues. I really saw I'm resisting to something, but I didn't understand what it was. And what it was I resisting my guidance pushing me towards teaching, pushing me towards mentoring. I still have resistance in working one-on-ones. Still people come to me and they ask me and I still tell them, I don't want to do that too much. I'm not talking about the groups like this. I'm talking about people in Israel that actually want to come to my house and want to have a session with me. I'm working on that as well. But the first resistance, when I realized that, I started teaching more. I started going on stage, and then immediately everything opened up. Opened up, everything. I'm talking about money, I'm talking about better relationships, I'm talking about synchronicities, the right people finding me for radio shows, for television, like everything opened up. Now, why did it happen? It happened because I found more resistance, but everything that started synchronizing was something completely different. What did I give up? I gave up what I thought was my free will, because I didn't want to do something. The excuse was, I don't want to, I'm not a people's person, I don't want to guide, I want to write a book, so other people will buy the book, but I want to explain to them, that's why I wrote it. I wrote a website, go visit the website, here's my card, you know? But people need to see you, people need to feel you. There's an energy that comes out of you when you're explaining certain things, the examples that come out, everything, that is downloaded as we speak. So when I did that, I realized what was the path of my resistance. And every one of you can understand his path of least resistance, because when we are resisting reality, things don't go our way. If it doesn't go our way in our job, then you know it's the job thing. Maybe it's something else that you're resisting to. A lot of the times it can be a person in your life. Some people are like clouds. When they disappear, the sun comes out. Just like, you all know this. You all have this one person that takes a lot of energy. It can be your mom, it can be a friend, it can be a relationship. The soul's path of least resistance. Many paths to choose from. So there's like a gazillion different paths, but the ones that will be the easiest ones are the ones that are, you're pulled towards that. It's easier for you. For example, when we are children and we go to high school, there's certain subjects that are easier for us to learn, and we are pulled towards that. Some people become jocks. Some people go to mathematics, English, stuff like that. Sorry, I didn't want to go in the way. It's easy for us, but then we grow up, and then our mom wants us to be a lawyer. Our dad wants us to be a doctor. We go and we learn, and in this decade is the most amount of people that started learning a degree and stopped. 30 years ago, you start a degree, you're going to finish it. You start a job, you're going to finish it. It's embarrassing for the family if you quit. You start a relationship, a marriage, you're going to go with it all the way, even if you don't like it. Today, much more individuality. A lot more in the children, a lot more in the education. So you understand what it is that you really want. But still, you try to fit the shoes of the people around you. You try to pleasure, you try to please your relationship, your parents, your friends. You try to fit into a box that is not really you. And we do this all the time. We do this to feel that we belong, to feel that we are normal in some way. When we do that, we're following the path of resistance. When we're following the path of resistance, our frequency is a little bit lower. We are less ourself. Now look how self I am. Look at what I'm talking to you about. I don't care talking about everything. I'm just myself. I'm authentic as I am on my videos. I talk about sex, I talk about masturbation, I talk about everything that people are completely embarrassed to talk about, because that's who I am. I don't care. I don't care. And as long as I am myself, I know that I won't get sick. I know that everything will be synchronized with me. I have a lot to learn. I have my ego, I have my issues, I have my own spiritual path and places I see myself going in the future. I want to be a full trance channeler. I want to be a guide when I don't know where our cousins, aliens will come. I want to be the one that will be opening his hand and trying to introduce them to humanity in a non-fearful way. I want to do all these things, but I'm just normal. I'm not a guru. I'm a person. I have maybe a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience. I woke up before other light workers to wake them up so they will wake up the rest of humanity. But it's all a matter of just time. Everybody will get to unity eventually. So understand the path of your resistance. The soul's path is always lit. If you want to call it God, the creator, nature, unity, your angels, your guiding angels, anything like that, everyone calls it in a different way. We all know it's the same thing. The light of God or the Creator is lit on your path. It is you that moves from the path. Now, how do you know you're straight from the path? Your emotions. Your intuition is telling you something is screwed up here. Something is disaligned here. You know it, and the longer you persist, you will know it and you feel it even more. Now, you have had that relationship that got you screwed up in your mind, and you knew that you need to give up this relationship. It does not serve you anymore. And when you did, even though you struggled and you were afraid, when you did, you felt so good afterwards. It could be a minute afterwards, it can be an hour afterwards, it can be a week, but suddenly you realize, why the hell was I there for such a long time? Why did I work that job for such a long time? Why did I date that guy for 5 years of my life? And you understood retroactively why you needed to date that guy, because it built the person that you are today. If you would have seen the light on your path quicker, you would have learned much faster. Love turns into hate when we know that we went too far in the relationship. And then the breakup, it's like a magnet. You take two magnets north, one towards each other, you let go. Just like that, love turns into hate, because you overdid it, you overstepped it. You prolonged the relationship that needed to break up a long time ago. And I'm talking about people, but it can also be something inside of yourself. There is a part of yourself that you might not like anymore, and that you want to get rid of, and you want to redefine yourself. Sort of like moving to a new city, giving yourself a new reputation, a new thing. I gave myself Ray. My name is Re'i in Hebrew. Nobody could pronounce it in my global community, so I decided to get Ray. Ray is the ray of light. I love light. My family name in Hebrew, it means Maor. It brings from the light. So everything kind of like, because I really like light, I don't know why. Even all my art has to do with light. I'll show you my art one day. Maybe even today, if I have the projector on. So you see, we need to understand where we resist reality. And the last thing is the part of surrender. We're going to go tomorrow, in the second part of the workshop, we're going to go through the 7 steps of manifestation. And the last part is surrender. What does it mean? For example, if I am shooting my bow and arrow, I see the target. I take my arrow, I point it. All of this is the imagination, is the feeling, is the understanding of what we want, the definition, and then I let go. What happens when I let go? Sorry, I let go even of the bow and it fell. I let go, it means that the arrow is already pointing, I'm sorry, I'm shooting at you. The arrow is pointing that direction, and it's moving already. Now is the time that we need to let go of our belief about if it's going to happen or not going to happen. We have set everything in motion. Everything is according to the divine plan. Now we need to begin trust, understanding that we have already placed every intention, we've already thought about it, we already visualized it, we imagined it as we want it to be, and then we need to surrender. Surrender to the higher consciousness that knows who we are, that knows the people in our life, that know the circumstances that we need to go through. You know how many times I catch myself not completely trusting, and then I say, you know something? I'm letting it go. I'm letting it go, and I'm trusting you to do it in the right way. I trust that the right people will come to the process. I trust that the right team will be built eventually. Sometimes I trust too much. And then I retroactively understood that this is a lesson that I needed to learn. Trust, surrender, let go. Bow down. Say, I am not, I am little, I am dust. Something bigger than me is happening here. For example, letting go will be if I want to plant a flower. I open up the ground. I take the seed. I put the seed in the ground. I take the ground. I tap it a few times. I put some water on it. I know that it's going to sprout. I just know. I leave. I come back in a week. There's a flower. I come back every day to check. I open the ground up. I ruin it. It cannot blossom. That's what letting go means. That's what trust means. And there's a million examples. What we do when we're always checking our manifestation is that we're creating a fear and a doubt. And a fear and a doubt is the opposite of love. Love is the highest frequency, fear is the lowest frequency. When we're creating fear and doubt, we are disturbing that path. We're disturbing that thing from manifesting in the way that we wanted it to manifest. Everybody understands? Do you have any questions so far?